Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Nain Shorts, where we talk about training and, well, martial arts in general. Because everything we talk about here, sure, a lot of it was born in my practice of Filipino martial arts in the Bladed Mind and now the Bladed Mind Ronin. However, I like to believe that a lot of the concepts and ideas that we discuss aren't limited to Filipino martial arts and could be applied in whatever art people happen to be in or you happen to be in. And I hope it does. I hope it translates that, because that's ultimately what we want to do, is get better at whatever it is that we're doing. And if anything that I say triggers something that allows you to improve, yay. You don't have to give me credit though, and most people don't. But that's okay. Because we just want to improve, and I'm constantly trying to improve in everything that I do. And one of the things that helps me a lot is really tying up different arts and different ideas from those arts into one singular concept. Now, is it correct? I don't know. It's just kind of where my brain goes, and the discussions that I have with my instructors about it, and whether or not we can poke holes in these theories and we test it out, and that's how we progress, and that's how we come up with new lessons. But to find the history, the connection between things becomes a very interesting topic on its own. And whether or not it helps you in your training, well, that's whatever you end up doing with it. But just the history behind it, it's really cool to kind of explore. Now, for those of you who have been or who have seen us for a long time, know we used to do a show, Colleague Conversations. We do have hopes to start that again, but we have been very busy, and it is time consuming to do all that traveling and all that talking to all these martial artists. But because of that show, we've learned a lot of history about many different arts and theories of where these things come from. And today there's an idea that we've been talking about that you see in FMA for sure. And even in FMA, there's so many discussions of what it is and where it comes from and why we do what we do. Of course, every school has their own focus and they'll call it their own thing because that's just branding. It's part of the culture. But what does it boil down to? And I actually was doing a little bit of it earlier, which is this. We call this Sinuwali, or at least a version of it, because there's also other variations where if it's more circular, they call it something else. Sinuwali is supposed to be a bit more stagnant and choppier in motion. Again, there's so many different ways to do it, but essentially it's this weaving movement. The sticks going back and forth from 1 to 2, 2 to 1, 1 to 2. And some people say it's an 8 count, some people say it's a 6 count. Honestly, it's repetitive. So does it really matter? Ultimately, it's what do you use it for? And again, everyone has a different explanation for it. For us, well, I'm learning hand-eye coordination because we're probably not going to fight with sticks. So is it really a stick fighting technique? Not if you don't have sticks. So what does it translate to when you don't have a stick or you supplement one stick with a knife? Rick, can I get a knife, please?
Maybe.
Well, I did say please.
Coming. Heads up.
Ooh, and I caught it by the handle. Ha!
Yeah, well,
I still cut my wrist. So now that...
You dodge a knife, you can dodge a ball.
It helps if you knew how to throw. But, oh well. You didn't quite get it. Okay, so now I have a knife in one hand and I have a stick in the other. And can I still do the same motion? Well, yeah. Now, would I be able to use it in practice against somebody with a stick? Yes. But a lot of things would then have to change. Why? I don't have quite the same range with this hand. So I'm going to have to step in a bit more, get in a bit more, which means either this is going to deflect whatever it is it needs to deflect so I can get there. But there's another name for this idea of stick and knife, espada-daga, which, again, Filipino martial artists, there's some that solely focus on the length of it. And as you go into the history of some other arts, they start incorporating European fencing into it. Why? Because they have the longsword. They have all these circular motions, and then they have a stabbing dagger, which a good friend of mine shared a bunch of manuals from way, way back when, in medieval times, of these training modules for sword and dagger, spada, daga. And the fascinating thing about it is that a lot of people don't seem to know that there are a lot of close quarter techniques, even with long swords, not even including the dagger, but of course also with the sword and dagger, where they do trap. They get into the range where now you can grab hands, elbows, even the back of somebody's neck with a long sword and a dagger. So, and to think that that's in the European times, but that is something I learned in Filipino martial arts off this movement, this technique, this idea of weaving in and out. You see it in other cultures as well. And when you start translating all these movements to just simple movements and start finding the same thing in other cultures, you have to wonder, where exactly did it come from? Because now all of a sudden you take this movement, you call it whatever you do, you share the history of your particular school, but then you see it, or you see a version of it in other arts. Now, what do I mean by this? For those of you who know, I also do Kaju Kempo. I'm a black belt in island style Kaju Kempo out of Fremont with GM Bob Gomez. And even though we don't particularly use stick and knife, we do some of it, but almost as a separate idea from Kaju, we'd still use this same motion, just empty-handed. And pretty much in every single punch art. Now, it may not look that way as I perform it right now, but bear with me. So, a lot of our punch arts start with getting offline, but pairing, and then an outside block. And then we go into the other things, we throw a kick in there, but then our left hand is activated again. So what is that? Left, right, left. Oh, those are half of the motions of the Sinawali that I was just doing. Just if I started on this side. Case in point, if I start on the left, left, right, left. If I start on the right, right, left, right. So it's the same movement, it's the same hands. The focus may be different because we moved from stick, sword, knife to empty hands. And then the argument is, oh, well, that's just Huba Luba. Okay, sure. Again, that's its branding, that's the name in only a certain regions. Other schools call it something different. We call it parry, place, trap, because of the focus of what we're doing with each individual piece. And even then, as our students get further along in their training, it really isn't that anymore, because you could easily say it's parry, 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 or it's trap, 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 or now I'm just hitting everything along the way. So is it any one of those labels, or is it just a simple movement? And if you take the weapons away, well, there's another argument. Where did this empty hand idea come from? Some people swear that it came from Okinawa, the birthplace of karate. And you can see it. Kaju Kempo is an amalgamation of all these different arts, including karate, Kempo, boxing. And over the years, other ideas have been added to it. But ultimately, it's your hand placement. Left, right, left. But a lot of what we learn in Kaju is one-sided, so it's primarily your left. But that doesn't mean you can't do it on the opposite side, starting with your right. And why is that obvious? Well, because I just did Sinawali on both sides, and it's the same hand movement. But we get lost in all these other ideas and techniques and concepts that are true to that particular art, that we sometimes don't see that correlation. And in studying the history of these things, you really start to see that there is only a limited amount of things that the human body is capable of doing. Call it whatever you want, focus whatever it is that you intend to do with those things, but ultimately, 2 hands and 2 feet. things are going to bleed out. So is it really an argument about where did this actually come from, or is it more of a study of what is the human body actually capable of doing? And if we can focus on that instead, well, then it opens the door to be able to really understand far beyond the scope of what we're learning. Rick, come join me for a moment.
Coming.
Leave your glasses though, I don't want to break them.
I was taking a nap, goddammit.
Yeah,
What do you
well,
want?
you and your dogs. So again, Rick can either punch me left or right, and it doesn't really matter. He can do it and here. Now, what did I do? Well, left, right, left, right, and on this one, left, right, left. Now, what if I don't want to be wherever he happens to be and he throws again? Now I do it on the opposite. Now I'm on the outside. Now I'm on the outside again. And again, they're just movements. I haven't really done anything that different than what I was doing with my sticks. It's just that now it's being focused on empty hands, and all I really studied is the movement itself. But does it mean that that's all it's for? No. Because what if you break it down even further into just rhythm? 1, 2, 3. So he throws a punch. What did I do? I parried this. I hit him here. Move this out of the way so I can hit him in his face. Well, what if I don't do that? What if he throws a punch? There's my 1, 2, and 3. 1, just getting that out of the way, moving on to something else, and then finishing it off. Again, it's rhythm of 3. That's all. He throws again. I just go straight there. And those who study Kaju, no, that's a very viable thing that we do in many different arts. But what if I just drop them so I can take this and then I throw them that way? Because it just happens to be something that I want to do. Now I broke down this 6 count or 8 count, whatever you want to call it in Filipino martial arts, Sinawali, into a rhythmic movement that I can put any which way. Because again, the human body is just the human body. How I deal with that punch is irrelevant as long as I don't get hit with it. What I do afterwards is whatever it is I want to do, or in this case, can do.
Here's one. Parry. Place.
Ah! Ow!
And you get creative. Just
Yeah.
Whatever you want to play.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you.
Go back to sleep.
So, whether we call it Spadadaga, whether it's Sinawali, whether it's parry place trap, whether it's a specific technique or just a rhythm, a count that we now use, break up, speed up, slow down, change the points of contact to create something different. And again, you're going to hear it in many different labels. You're going to hear arguments about it started here, it started there, it started everywhere. But as fun as those conversations can be, well, how are they helping you become a better version or a better martial artist than you are now? And if that's what helps you, great. For me, I like learning the history because it's fun, but it also helps me explore all the different possibilities. Just the idea of it coming also from the European styles of swordsmanship, well, it really opens a whole new avenue, because the length of a sword in European fencing and being able to get that close, being able to do trapping, means that we're on the right track when we teach our students that regardless of what's in somebody's hand, if you can reach that hand, is that weapon even really a threat? And when you don't have any weapons, isn't that what you're parrying anyways? The hand? So, it's a great way to teach students how not to be afraid of a punch. Because if they can parry a sword or a stick out of the way, that punch isn't going to be that much more menacing. And hopefully keep them that much safer, because we're trying to teach them how to defend themselves in a real fight. So whatever you want to call it, whatever it is that you incorporate into your art or where it came from, Well, I hope you explore it. I hope you look at the history of it just for the hell of it. And if not, find it in other arts, find it in other training. What correlations can you make? How does that mentality now change the way that you view these movements? And is it a positive? Is it expanding your mind? Or is it just a bunch of gibberish that some random Mexican is talking about on a video? Because all of which are valid points of view. Now, would I agree with them? Not necessarily, but I like mine, and I hope that this has triggered some sort of idea in your head of where did these things really come from, and if understanding them is going to help you get better at what you do. So, thank you for joining me on another one of Nain's Short. Until the next one, as usual, 3, 2, 1, cut!
I see what you did there. Cut. Ha ha.